So these webinars are structured to engage with other people, parents and grandparents, and anyone that really comes into contact with children that would like to assist in helping them in their mental and emotional health and in learning skills around mindfulness. So different types of mindfulness techniques, strategies, exercises, and even conversations that they can have with children. And that's what this webinar is all about.
Okay.
But you know, it's kind of funny that you mentioned the sand, that you did that on your own, because that brings me back to a game that I used to play with some of the kids at school, in grade school, and that they would get a person to lay down, and they thought it was really, really cool because of what it did psychologically, which we didn't know any of that stuff at the time because this was in elementary school. But it, the psychology behind it is actually quite fascinating, but I'm not going to get into that. So the game that we would play is that they would get one person to lay down, and then they would get them to close their eyes. And then they would pretend that they were making incisions into their limbs, in their arms and their legs and their chest and their belly. And they would pretend that they were pulling everything out, and that they would fill it up with heavy, heavy sand. And they would pretend that they were filling up the arm. They would work one limb at a time, and they would pat and they would put pressure on it, as pretending that to help you imagine that it was sand being put into your arm. And then they would zip it back up, or they would sew it back up. And they would do this with every limb on your body, your neck, in your head, and all this stuff. And you would imagine that all of this sand was being put into all your limbs as you were quiet. And they were saying this, I'm putting more sand in and more sand in, and it's getting heavier and heavier. And after they had finished with all the limbs, they would then say, okay, try to get up. And what was really fascinating, and the thing that really got the kids to do this, was that it really felt like you were made of sand. And it was difficult to lift your body off the ground. You felt heavy. And so the kids enjoyed doing this. I didn't know it at the time, but now that I'm more learning more and more aware of different types of mindfulness exercises, this is actually a relaxation exercise. It's something that you can do on your own, as Ren had shared, or even with a group of people. And it really does help to relax the body. And it's obviously fun because a whole bunch of elementary kids did it. So that was another one that I remember as a group.